Okay, can you see the peer review template?
Yep.
Okay. So like I said, some of the things are just what I've also learned from teaching online, especially with us using DingTalk. I'm kind of more familiar with the platform. So let me just go through here and then I'll ask a couple questions at the rubric part just for some clarifications.
Okay.
So I like that you had the warm-up activity. You know, it's always a good way to get them started. And I guess the target language was XY axis from last or from a previous class, because I found that kind of odd if you were just throwing that out there without
No,
a
yeah, that
lesson
was a
before it.
review.
So I think maybe you should have prepared it beforehand, like just so you didn't spend a lot of time reworking the access. But that was just a little thing. I know that you wanted them to take notes, and I just wanted to show you something that's kind of helped me, is if I make like a blank table on the Blackboard for the students with like the amount of things that they need to take notes. So for this one, 3 boxes, just so they know, like I put mean, I put the definition, I put median, I put the definition, I put mode, I put the definition. I think it's kind of helped. And then I also go back and fill it in too. So they see me taking notes, they should be taking notes. And if they haven't taken notes, they can always look at the ones that I've done. So usually if you've seen other PowerPoints that we've made, we say like, please make this box in your notebook now, before we go on to, okay, mean.
Yeah, that's something that I spoke with my mentor about. Like, I don't like there's a time and place for notes, and I don't think it's math class. And like if this was a physical lesson, I wouldn't have had them writing down the steps. I would have had them doing the steps and talking about it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to show you, like, I don't know if you can see me, but I just have them do something like that.
Yeah.
Not a ton of notes.
All right. We got 10 minutes, Will.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll keep it going. I loved the check-in with the students, like the press A if you've got it, B if you're okay, and C if you don't. And I think you were also really great for staying positive with the students who put C. Or like overall, like this will be one of the glows at the end. Like you can just tell that your students are very comfortable with you, so they don't mind saying, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's okay. Like even, was it Frank, who was like, I don't know how to say this in English at all, you know, and then you kind of like helped him through it. I think eventually you got to a point. Students finishing early, maybe have another one to make independently, because I don't know, it'll just keep them busy and not just sitting there. Using different language, you spent a great time describing the meaning of each graph, like the line and the bar. That was really great. Using good language, it made all sense, and by the end, I think a lot of students really benefited from that. I think later on, I don't know if ice cream was the best example to use. And I'm just gonna say because like I find if it's something closer to them, they're more engaged, especially with math. Like Eric was saying, measure something at your desk. Like it could have been make a bar graph of the things on your desk right now. Like how many books do you have? How many pencils do you have? How many computers do you have? You know, kind of like
the lessons prior, we learned about surveys and collecting data, and like I used the ice cream thing. That was the person who made it, Colin's example, and I just used it. But the like project aspect of it, and I think I did end up leaving it out of this video, was their homework was to write a survey question, and then we throughout the week, I would put up the survey question using the answer card, and they would all vote, and I collected all of the data, and then they were able to see their question with the data, and then they could choose their question, or they could choose someone else's question, and that was what they made their final bar graph on.
Cool. I'm just saying you could have done probably the ice cream one and then give them kind of independent practice, like, because you had the very structured practice of like, here's the table, you make the chart, and then kind of see if they can make a table and a chart kind of at the end.
I see what you mean.
So it's like the I do, we do, you do. The you do, I guess, was them making it for the ice cream, but like maybe, because then they could put their own personality in. But that's just like a little thing I noticed, not, I know who made it. So I think for the I'll write my justifications at the end, just because I wanted to talk more about, I think just because of that, there were multiple opportunities like within that period that I watched that they got to practice the mean, median, and mode. So that was the only reason why I said proficient, just because there weren't multiple opportunities. But
I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think you could justify it that there were if you talked about like we did this previous lesson and then their homework in the next weeks. But if we're just looking at
the unit as a whole, there were multiple, but this lesson specifically, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think that you did a great job with, you understand the content and you knew how to explain it to kids. And you also did kind of redesign the lesson for misconceptions, like explaining when the line and bar kind of mix up, I think. And there was another point where you kind of switched, where you drew like a picture of each of them. I think that that was really good when you saw that no one really remembered bar and line because there wasn't a visual. You drew the little pictures above it and then they moved on. It kind of sparked something. So I felt like that was really good. I didn't know, I wanted to ask about like the tools that you used, but you know, now I'm talking, you did try to do more with the online surveys and then the class before. So I can kind of put that as, what is this, outstanding. So you did try to connect interest or backgrounds or whatever they wanted to promote inquiry. I think the application was great. You tried to use different technology, you had them draw, you had them write, and really tried to give them good examples. And then this one, of course, you know, diverse populations around the world, which kind of goes to like ice cream is not really the number one thing I think of. With
my kids are obsessed with food. They love like, anything has to do with sweets or ice cream or meat.
True, I do remember your class having lots of sweets. But overall,
I guess my justification for that would be allowing them to make their own questions, but that's not this lesson.
Yeah. So great relationship between your students, good language, and rephrasing a lot to reach out to majority of the class. Like you gave a good explanations like a couple times about what you needed to do, instructions, and also what the lesson was about. More visuals, I think you need. Like I said, the bar and the line, right when you drew that, they remembered it. But if you didn't have it, then they might not know what you're talking about. And
I'll take half the blame on that one. No visuals.
No, it's and just have them make more graphs during the lesson. I thought maybe like you could, because I know you said that they were kind of confused about mean, median, and mode. Maybe like make or show an example of a graph and just do mean. then show another example of a graph, and then talk about mean and median, kind of build each time.
I see. Yeah.
So that they get multiple exposure to the same concept, because you only had one example, which ended up being 4.4. How did you calculate that?
I ended
I
up
mean,
like, I'm not gonna lie, the next lesson I had to reteach everything. They didn't get any of it. And
yeah,
honestly, like I want to blame it on Colin's PowerPoint, but I don't know. Maybe I didn't explain it enough. But
no,
yeah, I had to go back and reteach it.
I think what it could, I think it's just, I think everything needed to be stretched out a little more. Like it was, and you did follow the standard, but I didn't see during the lesson the more and less aspect of that standard, where you ask like, who had the most or who had the least kind of thing. But other than that, it was easy to follow, and all your questions were for formative were answered. So I'll put in some next steps and recommendations when I share it with you, but overall, I think more time with each of those concepts or ideas would benefit
Totally agree.
overall.
All right, we got less than 1 minute.
Yeah, so just talk about like mean, like what is the median or mode? No one uses that. Everyone just takes the average.
Yeah, yeah.
So sorry for blabbing, but
No, it's fine. Thank you.